In that passage, Swamiji is describing his own guru, but he was such a good disciple that so many of those same qualities he absorbed into himself. I met Swamiji when I was 21 years old. He was 45. And for many years I lived with him and worked closely with him. And unfortunately, length of time or amount of contact with Swami Kriyananda or any teacher does not guarantee a comparable degree of spiritual advancement. Yoganandaji tells, or he doesn't tell the story actually, Swamiji tells the story of a disciple of Yoganandaji. And the master, and this disciple had the feeling that just the diksha of the guru was enough. And the master said to him, on this ashram property there's lots of rats and mice. They're not advancing spiritually. They're close to this body. We need to make the effort, is his point, the spiritual effort. And interestingly, the people that Swami Kriyananda often gave the most attention to, the most support to, were not the most advanced disciples. They were more the people who needed it most. And many times I remember people that were just really difficult for the rest of us to be around. And Swamiji would give them so much energy. He would give them responsibility. And then after some weeks or months, we would see how they were transformed, that they needed that hand-holding to get to the place where they could be more on their own. And oftentimes the most advanced devotees were the ones that Swamiji didn't see that much of, because they were able to stand on their own. Nayaswami Jaya, who's the co-director of Ananda India, and he's coming here in a couple of weeks. He met Swamiji a couple of years before I did, and almost from the beginning was an acharya and a leader. He said in all of those decades, he remembers maybe 6 conversations that he had with Swamiji. In all of that time, he had almost no outward contact, because he was already inwardly attuned. And here today, you all have many opportunities that we didn't have in those days. You know, all of the books, all of the heavens, online courses, thousands of Ananda web pages, of, teacher training courses. Good heavens. In those days, any learning, there really weren't books to speak of, was oral, or by intuition, and also a lot of blind faith. And so everything happens in the right way for our soul's growth in the right time. And our job is to seize the moment and be as completely here and now to take advantage of the spiritual opportunities that are right in front of us. And as Yoganandaji said, with that is not enough just to be. We must also each make that spiritual effort to get in tune. For many years, I would, on Sunday mornings, when Swamiji would always give a satsang on Sunday mornings, and I would ride with him on the way to the satsang. I was his secretary, and oftentimes I would go over to his house earlier. He was maybe meditating or doing energization. Maybe I'd cut some fruit for his breakfast or make sure his clothes were ironed and gather the books that he would read from during the satsang. That was always Whispers from Eternity. Often it was Autobiography of a Yogi. He had an original edition that Yogananda Ji signed, and that was the one that he always read from. And and then we would ride to the satsang. It was about a half-hour drive. And in all of that time, Swamiji was not speaking, unless there was something that we needed to communicate. I would always have a list of questions to ask him whenever I found the right moment. But that moment was never on the way to satsang, unless it was something crucial that he needed to know before that. And people sometimes say, oh, it's amazing, Swamiji never used notes for his discourses, he never prepared for them. But that's true and not true. Really, all of the time, he was preparing. He was preparing all of that morning in meditation on the ride up. Usually the day before, he would have time. But that preparation didn't mean making a lot of notes or checking a lot of references. It was meditating. It was getting deeper within himself, trying to tune into his guru, understand what it was that Master had to say through him to everyone present. It was also praying for the specific people who were coming that morning, meditating on them, listening, what do these particular people need to hear through me this morning? And really his preparation was his whole lifetime of discipleship. All of that went into that one discourse. And it's a wonderful lesson for those of us who are involved in sharing these teachings. And this is the kind of God communion that Swamiji is urging all of us to have in the midst of our daily activity, to bring that consciousness, just as he did. And this is also the kind of sharing that he's urging us to do, to share from the soul with everyone that we're with. Thank you. We'll now have a reading by Amit.
This is also another reading from the New Path by Swamiji. One day Master said quietly to me, "You have a great work to do." To what sort of work had he referring? Thereafter, in one context or another, he often repeated this prediction. "You must do so and so, Walter," he would say, "because you have a great work to do." Or, "You have a great work to do, therefore, something, something. 2 years after Master's Mahasamadhi, Rajarsi Janakananda, his chief disciple, was blessing a group of us one evening. He paused when I came up to him, then said softly, "Master has a great work to do through you, Walter, and he will give you the strength to do it." "I don't want to do a great work," I wrote to Rajarsi. "I just want to serve Master unnoticed." Rajarsi's response was to come and bless me again, smiling quietly. But when, one time, I resisted Master's effort to draw me into teaching activities, his response was brusque. "Living for God," he told me sternly, "is martyrdom." No one so far had shown real enthusiasm for sharing his teachings or his broader mission with others. The other disciples seemed more concerned with his or her own spiritual growth. In me, Master had found someone who really wanted to reach out to the whole world, with the truths he had come to share. I was told that Master said to a small group, if Walter had come earlier, we would have reached millions. My work, as he already knew, was to serve as a spearhead for his teachings. He knew from the beginning that my job would be to introduce his message widely. Om.
Just in case you don't know, the two readings that Serena and Amit did was from The New Path, that's Swamiji's autobiography. And in case you haven't read Swami Kriyananda As We Have Known Him, or Narayani's My Heart Remembers Swami Kriyananda, these are just incredible books to get to know the great soul that was Swami Kriyananda, that is Swami Kriyananda. The central theme of Swamiji's life is Ananda, was Ananda, and starting Ananda, carrying on as an attuned disciple to Yogananda, when Yogananda was talking about and wishing for world brotherhood colonies in the world to spread the message of self-realization. And he thought that it would be much easier for people to lead a spiritual life, to aspire to find God, to become one with God, if they lived in the close proximity and worked with and meditated with other devotees with like-minded aspirations. And so therefore, when he heard Yogananda Ji in Hollywood giving this talk, he was one of many, of like 600 people there that day, when Master emphatically said, youths will go north, east, south, west, and spread the planet with world brotherhood colonies. Swamiji said, this is my mission, I will do this. So that is why Ananda and building world brotherhood colonies or communities became one of Swami Kriyananda's major life goals. And as Keshava said, he came to Ananda village when he was quite young, in 72, I think it was, and Naya Swami Jaya, who's coming in a couple of weeks, I think came in 68 or 69. And Swami said, Ananda is a way for people to find God. And when we have this higher aspiration to become more and more attuned to our own higher selves, to achieve the highest in ourselves, Swamiji said, follow that which you can see is the highest vision you can have for yourself, and you will always be moving in the right direction. And Ananda allowed us to be with each other who all had that same aspiration and encouraged each other to do that. You know, as Keshava said, Swami and Ananda has filtered down through the great teachings of our gurus, you know, the materials, the teachings, explaining them, the satsang, coming together in satsang, learning how to serve, giving us opportunities to be channels for our gurus, to be channels for this vibration in the world. And so many opportunities as community, even though we may not be able to all live together in community like we do at Ananda Village or other communities in Europe and America. We have our own type of community. We come together every Sunday. Many of us are coming together on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays and different times. So the more we can come together, the stronger our aspiration to reach this highest vision we can have of ourselves. It increases that desire. Swamiji said that we are born, you know, we have various reasons for being born in our birth families, but when we come together as spiritual brothers and sisters, this is so true brotherhood, because in the Guru's bond is eternal. And so we follow the Guru life after life, or he catches us life after life. And therefore we travel together also life after life as children of our Guru. And And Swamiji says the harmony, the joy, the love, the divine friendship that we share with each other is also because we've done it before together in the astral world. You know, this vibration is something that we share. It's a vibration that when we feel it in our hearts, we recognize it and say, I remember that vibration. And that's how our spiritual family travels, lifetime after lifetime. And what do we learn? We learn about security. You know, if you think of all the things we have to do in life, security, what is our security? If we're feeling more and more oneness with the creator of the universe, that's security. We help each other to feel that. You know, relationship. You know, we have all different kinds of relationships in our lives, but these relationships that are divine friendships, where we really hold the highest in each other up, like Swami did to each of us, like Master did to Swami. We can see the highest in each other and hold each other up. And then we ourselves, we want to become better and get rid of our character defects and work on our virtues, because that's how we see each other. And we help each other with our self-control, with our practices, with not reacting, with keeping our energy centered. And we help each other love God. We help each other in our yearning for oneness and attuning ourselves to God, to Guru. We help each other in expanding our consciousness and our calmness. You know, these are all ways that we can help each other. And, you know, the Gurus they come, the avatars come, and they have great teachings to teach us, but they're not on earth for very long. I mean, Master Paramahansa Yogananda left the planet at 59 years old. Vivekananda, 39, I think it was. Christ, 33. You know, these avatars come, they don't necessarily have long lives. And they come to accomplish a big world mission, these avatars. So how will they accomplish it if they're living such a short time? Through the disciples that are in tune with them. That is us. Yogananda Ji said that self-realization will be the religion of the future. And Krishna said, 1 out of 1,000 will seek me, and out of that 1,000, 1 will find me. I mean, who are those ones out of thousands that are helping people tune into Krishna's teachings? That's also us. And Jesus said, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. You know, spiritual seekers, there are many. Disciples, there are few. Disciples that are in tune, it says, let me help my Guru do what he incarnated for. So when Swamiji left his body, when Yogananda Ji left his body, gave his mantle, his baton, turned it over to Swamiji. And Swamiji came to Master at the very end of Master's life, the last 3.5 years. But then, so Yogananda Ji was only 24, 25 when Yogananda Ji left his body. So he had all this time until 1987. Is that right? No. 2013. All this time until 2013 to spread his Guru's teachings and expand them worldwide. And, you know, like Keshava said, just all over the internet, teachings everywhere, you know, books, you know, 150 books, songs, so many different ways to get in tune. And so then when Swami left his body in 2013, he also passed his mantle to his spiritual successor, Nayaswami Jyotish, who's there on that picture is there. And he was here in April. Probably most of you saw him when he was here just a few weeks ago, Jyotish and Devi. And then he also passed his mantle on to Keshava and Nayaswami Jaya and all of us. You know, this is how the Guru's work gets done. His mission gets accomplished on the planet through the disciples in tune with them. And we may say, who, me? Who, me? Not me. Why are you looking at me? You know, I don't have any realization. I still have all these character defects. I have all these problems. I have a big issue at home. And, you know, how could it be through me? How does the Guru transform us? You know, we may learn Hong Sa. We learn some basic meditation techniques. We start to feel some peace in our lives. That's what stillness feels like, or almost feels like. I'm almost still. And then we start to have these experiences of peace. And then we tune in and do some energization and learn our Yogananda's teachings on energy. We start to learn how to uplift our energy. We start to learn how to center our energy, magnetize our center. Then we suddenly become open to the magnetization of the gurus. Their vibration, their magnetism starts to change us, like the bar magnet that we always talk about. Our vrittis start to align with Yogananda's vrittis, and suddenly we are making spiritual progress, and we're thinking from no effort of our own. But the Guru is able to work through us because we are allowing his energy to flow through us. The more and more we can become channels of that energy, and there are infinite numbers of opportunities here and in this world, as you all know. The more we get our little ego out of the way and say, use me as your channel, the more we become transformed to be like Swamiji, the perfect disciple, to be like Master, an incarnation of love and light and wisdom on this planet. And our reality comes from being this little ego to an infinite consciousness, as long as we are willing to be open channels and disciples and try to attune ourselves to our Guru, just like Swamiji so perfectly has shown us. And now we'll listen to a few minutes talk by Swamiji on attunement, and then we'll have our art.